Hello, welcome to our live today. And today we want to talk about being a light in the darkness. We want to start, first of all, by reading a passage for you from Matthew. So I'm going to read it right off my YouVersion Bible app. Matthew 5, verses 14 to 16. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven.
So have you ever thought of yourself as a light? Today, I just want to read a little devotion, and we just want to let you know that we have a devotional book coming out very soon. In fact, we have a couple already, but there's a new one coming out. And so I'm reading a devotion that is in one of the books. And here is what it is.
But we should just also say, if you're new here, welcome. We
Yeah.
are Ruth and Casey. We're a mother-daughter team, and our channel is just all about healthy Christian living. And so if you've never been here, we're very glad to have you here. And we would love it if you would like this video for us, because it really helps the algorithms. And
Subscribe.
We're really excited actually to tell you that our video from last week is the best video we've ever had. And so
we're celebrating.
We're celebrating. And you know what? We really believe that God has called us to this channel to be here to encourage you. And I especially have been discouraged about it lately, because it feels like the YouTube algorithms are just like never doing their thing for us. And so we've been praying and just feel like God has called us to be a light in this dark area. And so your like and thumbs up and subscribe and your comments and all the things really do truly help us. And they really do truly mean everything to us on this YouTube channel.
They mean the world to us.
They
and
do.
Like Casey just said, we are trying to be a light in the world of YouTube, because as Christians, as believers, as Christian women, we need to have that light that is influencing us so that we can spread our light. We're supposed to go and spread the gospel, so we need to spread our light. So I'm going to read this little devotional.
Yeah, sorry for cutting you off.
Oh, that's okay. And so thanks for being here. There are so many verses in the Bible that speak about light. So we know that light is a very important aspect of life. In fact, God created light on day one. It wasn't day 3 or 4, it was day 1. Out of the darkness, God created light, and it could not be hidden. Just like a town built on a hill can't be hidden, light in the darkness cannot be hidden. I'm going to tell you that light is fascinating. Light is mesmerizing. Light is enchanting. Light is compelling. Light is magnetic. Light is energizing, and light is captivating. And you might have your own definition or saying of what light is. But when you think about the power going out in the middle of the night, the room becomes dark or black instantly. You can't see anything, and you might be fumbling around. If you have kids, they might be frightened. Animals are startled. Maybe older adults are frightened or alarmed, and I'm going to say animals are actually unnerved. Maybe you're unnerved in the dark, but darkness can be daunting. In the midst of the darkness, a candle is lit, and suddenly the room is illuminated. The flame spreads its light throughout the house, and it dispels the darkness. Even a candle can rescue us from the darkness, and we can instantly breathe a sigh of relief. If you've ever had the power go out, you know what I'm talking about. You're fumbling. When you think about a campfire, it is mesmerizing in the dark. People gather around the fire for warmth, for shelter, for food, for comfort, for pleasure, for conversation, for connection, for entertainment, and even just to watch the enchantment of the flames. It's a light that cannot be hidden. Just as light dispels the darkness, Jesus is our light, and his light gives us hope for the future. This bright light of hope is what allows us to keep going in whatever our journey is. It helps us to move one foot in front of the other. So it helps us stay motivated and to keep shining so that others see our light and can step out of their darkness, is what we're called to do. When we think about the brightest lights, maybe that we use or that we can understand, maybe you think of a laser light because it's a concentrated light. Maybe you think of the sun. It's so magnificent because it shines miraculously for the whole world to see. Even more majestically is the glorious light of Jesus, as his light is the only light that can actually dispel the darkness of this world. We live in a world that is full of darkness, and so every bit of light we shine to others can help us spread the light of Jesus. We are like little candle flames, but even our littlest flame will help to light the way for someone else who is struggling in the dark to find their way. So let's stay connected to the light so we can spread our light.
What a powerful devotional just to think about light, right? And how it does dispel the darkness. And what's that old quote by, I don't know if it's by Albert Einstein or something, but it's uh, like about the absence, no, I'm going to just butcher it, but like light isn't the absence of darkness. It's no, how does that go?
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up while you talk for a minute.
Darkness is the absence of light.
Right.
Yeah. So that's exactly what it is. When it's black, there is no light. So what are you doing to spread your light? Do you have kids who are frightened in the dark? Or do you have kids who love to play in the dark with their flashlight because it illuminates the whole room?
But here's what I was trying to say. Darkness does not exist by itself as a unique physical entity, but it is simply the absence of light. That's what I'm trying to very uneloquently say.
That's okay.
So there we go.
It is the absence of light. And in a dark room, you don't know where you're going. You get confused. You get like disorientated very quickly.
And it just kind of overtakes you. And our circumstances in life can be so like that, right? The darkness just overtakes us and we feel like there's no light left. And, even as we think about being a light to the world, because we are the light of the world. And so are we dimming our own light? Are we removing the light because maybe we're self-conscious, maybe because we're feeling guilt and shame, maybe because we're living in some sinful behavior that we're not proud of, maybe because, there's so many reasons why we dim our own light or we put that bowl over top of it, like the passage says. But it's something we've got to think about because you right here listening are uniquely qualified for the task that God has called you to do.
Yeah. Remember that song, Hide Your Light Under a Bushel? No, we're not supposed to put anything over our light. It is supposed to shine steadily for the light for the world to see.
Yeah.
So it's true. What are we putting over our own gifts and talents and our own purpose? What are we covering ourselves with so that our light is dimmed? We have to figure that out so that our light will stay spreading.
Yeah. I want to say for me, a lot of the time it's comparison and being self-conscious and feeling like I'm just not, why would I go do that? Right?
We're not good enough. We don't measure up. We're not worthy enough. We're not enough. And I'm going to say you are enough. You have value. God has given you exactly what you need in order to spread your light.
But sometimes it's hard to do it because it has to force us to step outside of our comfort zone. It has to force us to step outside of step out, right?
Yeah.
And
it's hard sometimes because God calls us to do some strange things sometimes. It reminds me of the story that I've talked with you about. I read this story and it stuck with me because it's about this lady in an airport and God tells her to go and shine her light for this older gentleman who's in a wheelchair. And actually God tells her to go and ask if she can comb the gentleman's hair. Now, how out of the box is that, right?
Yeah, can you imagine going up to somebody in the airport and just being like, hey, can I comb your hair for you? That is awkward.
Oh, it's shining her light, but she knew God was telling her to do it. She knew she had to do it. And when you have that overwhelming urge that God is pressing it on your heart that you need to go and do it, and your heart is pounding and you're like, no, I don't want to, and you're arguing with God. She finally,
you're negotiating. You're like, no.
Yeah. And she finally said, okay, God, I'm going to do it. And she went up to the gentleman and she said, I know this may sound really awkward, but can I comb your hair for you? And he burst into tears and he was so overwhelmed that someone would care enough to come and comb his hair because he was meeting, I don't remember if it was his daughter or his wife that he hadn't seen for a while. And he wanted to look really good for the person coming, but he wasn't capable of doing it himself. And he was overjoyed by the love that this woman had to go and comb his hair. What a story of redemption, really.
Yeah.
Of shining her light.
Well, and of being obedient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's pretty easy to just make excuses and go, no, he probably wouldn't really want me to ask him that. He'd probably be offended. And
God, why are you asking me to do something so out of the box, so crazy?
And then walk down to a different part of the airport, so you just can kind of forget about it and pretend that you didn't really have that nudging, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So it's so cool when we do hear stories about that. And I've shared this story before too, but sometimes sometimes we don't know why God asks us to do something. Like in that case, it turned out so cool and he was so thankful. But sometimes God calls us to do things, and then after the fact, we're like, oh my goodness, God, what was that all about? Right.
And we might never know what it was about. But
Yeah.
the whole point is to be obedient and to let our light shine.
Yeah. Because one time, years ago, and if you've been around watching us for a while, you might know that we used to own a coffee shop together years ago now, and it was in a fine area of town, but our downtown area has a lot of homelessness and a lot of drug use, a lot of like all that kind of stuff. And one day I was leaving work, I was leaving the coffee shop, and I was the last one there, and sure enough, here's this guy sitting across the back alleyway where I was parked, and I could tell he was high, but I really felt like I was supposed to go ask him if he needed help. And it just was honestly the most awkward thing I have ever experienced, because he was like right in the middle of shooting up, but he had a Bible beside him, which was quite interesting. And I just felt like I was really supposed to go ask him if he needed help or if he needed something to eat, or I don't remember exactly what, but something along those lines. And he was so awkward, and you could tell he was just like so mortified that I was over talking to him while he was busy. And anyways, it was just awkward, and there was no good outcome that came from it that I know of. But I really I tried to negotiate with God and go like, nope, I don't want to do that. He's busy. I don't need to go talk to this guy. I probably just need to go get in my car and drive home and la 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 la. But I just had to do it.
But the thing is, you were obedient.
Yeah. And who knows? It could have saved his life for all I know.
That's right. He might have stopped what he was doing and stopped the injection, whatever.
Yeah.
You don't know how you affected him or how you were a light to him, but you were obedient, and that's what mattered.
But I think that's the whole thing, right? We can so often cover that light. It's so easy to do it. And it's easier most of the time to cover the light and to not be obedient in those moments. But we don't know what we are foregoing if we don't obey.
That's right.
Right. And the fact of the matter is, like I already said, you are uniquely qualified for what God has placed you here for. Nobody else can do it. I mean, God can obviously use someone else or some other circumstance to get the job done, but you are uniquely you for a reason, for a purpose.
That's right. He has you like a city on a hill. He wants you to shine your light. And if you think about a city on a hill, everybody can see it. And, it's not going to be hidden. And that's what we're supposed to be like.
And it's beautiful.
That's right.
Right? If you think about the city lights, we live in a city that has lots of hills and we have tons of city lights. It's beautiful to look at those city lights, as they shine in the darkness. And, we should be beautiful lights and beautiful, what's the word I'm looking for? Like do beautiful things for other people that show them the love of Jesus. And so if you think about it like that too, how can you today go be light to somebody? And maybe you're in your own set of darkness, but the fact is that regardless of your circumstances, nowhere in that passage does it say, you're a light, but only when things are good. Right. And often when we are in our own dark periods, when we can step outside of ourselves and be light to somebody else, it really lifts us up too.
That's right. It's a double-edged sword. Mm-hmm. It's so true. Light is captivating. And when we share the love and the light of Jesus to others, we get lit up as well. Mm-hmm. That's really what it does. So go out and shine your light today.
Yeah. And ask yourself, how are you covering your light or hiding it away or, hunkering away in your house and not using the gifts that God's given you? Where are you at with it? Because we are the light of the world. It's not when we feel like it, we are. And so we have to be obedient in what God is calling us to do. And, it's easy to get comfortable in our homes and in our roles and in our just life in general, but we have to start with intention, thinking about what God is asking us to do, and then we have to be willing to step outside of our comfort zone.
Absolutely. So I think that's about all for today. We just want to encourage you, put in a comment, let us know where you feel that God is calling you to shine your light.
Mhm.
We'd love to know.
Yeah, and thank you, Margie. Salt and light. Yeah, that's as the passage goes on. It also talks about salt, the salt of the earth, too, right?
Yes,
And
that's
if the
right.
salt loses its saltiness, then what good is it?
Yeah,
It's no good.
exactly. So let's go out and shine our lights together.
Exactly. We always like to end by saying this. Until next time, remember that you are a beautiful woman chosen for greatness.
And we totally believe in you. Bye for now.
Bye.